And I just thought the way that she handled the situation was so grown woman. I liked it. She was so just bright and smart, and she had like that country good street sense, but she was a church lady. Reminded me of myself.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Colston. I'm here with Isaiah Tukes, Kimberly Lake, and Laria Reed, and we are Four Friends in a Book. So Four Friends in a Book is our monthly podcast series where we have a discussion centered around a book that we're reading together, and we meet here for that discussion about that book. So it's kind of a book club, book review, mixed with just table talk amongst friends. So first and foremost, if you haven't already, we need you guys to subscribe. Follow us on all our social media platforms. And also, if you're listening on our podcast services, leave us a review. Hit us up on there as well. We want to hear from you guys, get some good feedback, all that good stuff. And also, we got a new edition of Four Friends. We actually just introduced that, which we're calling the Arthur Spotlight. So check that out as well. We got new content coming out for this season 2. We just want you guys to kind of really follow along with us as we go on this journey of reading books and talking to authors and just having discussions. So let's get right into this book for this month. So again, Four Friends in the Book podcast, we read books, we talk. And so in the fiction genre, for this month, we read the book Deacon King Kong by Jane McBride. Very good book. It was one of Oprah's book club selection. Kind of set in that 70s time period, set in Brooklyn, New York, and it just takes you on this. Jane McBride takes you on this wild ride of this this housing project and just everything that's going on within this community. Within this neighborhood, and just really a good read for this month. So let's break this book down. Let's get into the discussion about it. So overall impressions of this book. So Deacon King Kong by Jane McBride, and we're gonna come to my brother Isaiah. What are your thoughts about this book?
Well, overall, Deacon King Kong is one of those books that begins well, but increasingly, it was engaging as I read it. This book took like longer than I anticipated on finish it. And honestly, I was almost halfway through Deacon King Kong wondering what even the book was about. I mean, I had no idea where it was headed. Even as the pieces began to overlap, fall together, this story really starts with Sport Coat. He's an elderly church deacon, and he walks up to this young drug dealer, Deems, and shoots him. And there are no witnesses, but no one turns him in. Well, there are actually a lot of witnesses, I'm sorry, but no one actually turns him in, not even the undercover cop that was actually out there. And Sport Coat, for some reason that he don't even remember shooting the guy. And majority of this book, involves like a place of poverty, but the real thing that was going on was they was looking to get ahead, but looking on the wrong side of the law. And while I did find like I was kind of lost with the very first half, but the second half made up for the first half for me. It was nearly impossible for me to actually put down the book. And it was like one suspense after another one. And Deacon King Kong, one of those books, it just basically sneaks up on you. And I haven't, been this pleasantly surprised by a book in a while. I normally don't read a lot of fiction books, but I really did enjoy this one.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, brother. It definitely it starts out just right there. I mean, the book opens up with somebody getting shot. So
yes.
Laria, what were your overall impressions of the book?
Well, it was very slow starting. Of course, we had this one big thing, but it's kind of like okay, are we gonna pick it up? Let's pick it up. Let's keep going. And it kind of slowly snowballs, and then it's like, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I liked it. I thought that it was well written, especially when you get to the end, you understand why it was written the way it was. Um, I hate that I didn't get the resolve that I wanted at the end with knowing where this. Well, are we doing spoiler alerts and all that? We doing?
Yeah,
Give
I
it to
mean,
him.
Give it to me.
The money from the church, where was that money? I want to know where the money was. And I thought that we were going to find this out, but we don't. That was the biggest thing for me. I was like, well, where was it? Because they kept talking about, I just got to find where my wife put this money. Sport Coat was talking about his wife that passed and everything. So I was just more concerned about that than anything in my mind. Of course, Dean's was a drug dealer, so that's what happens. You get shot, but it was kind of, I won't say funny, but to me, it was amazing at how something as simple as one person shooting somebody for no reason could cause all of this. Like, well, what are they trying to do, and what is he doing, and what? But when you're about that life, as we say, you know, you're always paranoid about what's happening in different areas. So what may just be this elderly man just shot this dude because he's a drunk turned into a whole bunch of other scenarios. So I thought it was cool the way the I was about to say the actor, like it's a movie, the way the author
Mhm.
had those different scenarios going, and that was very creative for him to do that. So
Mhm.
I liked it. That was a good book.
Yeah, that's good. And it's funny you actually mentioned like the actor because I've heard word. I'm not sure where it is in this process that
Mhm.
Jay McBride is actually planning to turn this into like a TV series or a movie. So there's some potential even turning this book and then taking it to the big screen. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
good.
Because in my mind, when I read books, I start putting people, like I make up the way it looks in my head, and I'm all in it because I'm just a imaginatory person. So yeah, there's actors in my head.
All right. So Kim, what were your thoughts, overall impressions about Deacon King Kong?
I thought, okay, the book started off really slow for me and also confusing. So I usually don't have to do this, but I had to look up a summary and character list because in the first couple of chapters, it's so many like it's
Yes.
so many
Yeah.
people and all these different names, and I could not keep track of it.
Yes.
So maybe about midpoint of the book, maybe chapter 9, chapter 10, I started grasping everybody. And once I
Mhm.
did that, I enjoyed the book. But at first, it just took a while to build. But I thought it
Mhm.
was a really good book. Like Laria, for me, the ending was lacking because it kind of it doesn't give you like a satisfying ending. It's kind of like
Mhm.
open ended, and I like a good satisfying ending, especially if I read
Mhm.
the book or listen to it for 17 hours or something like that. So other than that,
Ah,
I thought
yeah.
the book was a good book, and I could really see it being a TV series. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I agree with you guys. I thought it was a great book. So I listened on Audible. So again, for those that are listening and viewing, if you hadn't really, you can't turn these pages, like get the Audible app. It makes stuff just easy for you. I mean, you can go listen in the car while you're working out in the gym, while you're doing whatever you're doing, like listen to the book. And even like Laria mentions, like it gives you this visual that you're hearing these words, but you kind of start painting these pictures in your head as well. So I listened on the Audible, and so first of all, I thought the narrator was great. So this book has a whole bunch of characters, and I felt like the narrator did a good job of putting these little twists and accents and inflections throughout the book to really kind of convey the change in characters and the different people. Whether he was getting his little Italian accent or his little um,
Mhm.
men, women, whatever it was, like he did a good job of really conveying and portraying the character. So I thought that was good. I agree with you guys. Starting off, like Isaiah mentioned, like the book opened up, somebody just gets shot, and then from that point, you're trying to figure out what's going on, how did this happen, and so there is this building process of really trying to lay the foundation of all the characters, all the people that are around, what's going on and what's happening. And so that does take a little time to get to that point. But after that, I think everything comes together. And I think it's really cool how he kind of hops from, you know, different activities, you know, different people throughout the book, you know, their perspective, their vantage points of what's going on with them. But James McBride does a good job of still tying all this stuff back together. And so, you know, the book kind of unfolds and you really get interested and intrigued about what's going on with the individual characters and how everything's playing out. And you kind of get attached to the characters and like you kind of want to know what's going on with them. And so I think it was a good book. I agree. It did kind of start off slow, but I think it was necessary to really to build and put that foundation to kind of lay out the different characters, the people, and really to let the story unfold. So thought it was a good book, and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it again on the Audible app.
Today, we're talking about caregiving and self-care.
My heart goes out to caregivers. When she was caregiving for her mom, she didn't take care of herself. And unfortunately, a year after I met her, she died because she didn't have the same type of care that she provided her mom and that she showed me how to provide to my father. You have to take care of yourself. You know, I heard someone say that caring for someone who once cared for you is one of the highest honors you can give.
I love that. I think about my parents and they raised me, like you said, and now we help them.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
What type of encouragement or something you would tell single people dating?
Social media is not permanent. Social media is artificial. Learn how to be yourself with a person. Be honest
and know your worth. And I will say this: quit valuing yourself like a Rolls Royce, but you showing hoopty mentality. You parading around like a hoopty. Because real men, somebody worth something, we not looking to take a hoopty home.
So on Four Friends in a Book, you know, we're not just about these books. One of the things right now, and it kind of does relate to the book a little bit, you know, we're still in this pandemic life. You know, I think it's lasted a lot longer than anybody has thought or expected. And it's still quite surreal. So in the book, my boy Cuffy, I'm gonna call him Cuffy, but also Deacon King Kong, he has all these different jobs. He an OG. He got all these hustles, you know, he do all these different activities that are kind of keeping him afloat, like these little side jobs and side hustles. But we think about today's time, like the workforce has drastically changed due to the pandemic. You know, a lot of us are still working from home. We're seeing a lot of workforce shortages. You know, we're seeing this great exodus of people, you know, quitting their job. Like, hey, this ain't for me anymore. You know, I want to try something new. I want to do something different. And there's just a lot going on. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that and kind of unpack that situation, that scenario. So, like, how has pandemic life kind of impacted you from a work perspective, or how has that changed what you have done traditionally as far as work? And we're gonna come to Ms. Lake. We're gonna start with her on this question. Pandemic life and work now, or even just in general, how have you seen things change, or are things still the same? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think things have changed a lot. I mean, I think moving forward, like this whole pandemic, like this, we're gonna look back in history and see it's like a time of
Mhm.
major change, not just with the work, but with education, churches, like all the way across the board. Um, it's you can go to any restaurant and see how much it's been impacted because literally everybody is hiring. I don't care where you go. There's a sign in the
Sure.
window in the door like we're hiring. Now they're offering all these benefits because now they see the value, I think, of workers. For me, the pandemic, I mean, it affected me because I work from home. Normally my job I wouldn't be from home, but I am. Also, it kind of I already look, I'm a creative. I say it all the time, but I am, and I love freelancing and all that. So working from home has been great for me. Is if it's what I want to do and like my lifestyle and personality. So I think that's actually helped a lot of people to see that maybe they can thrive doing something like entrepreneurship or something different than the regular 9 to 5 clocking in, clocking out. I think employees, not workers, but employers, I should say,
Mhm.
have to really look at changing what they're doing now because it's not working anymore and it's not going to work anymore. So they're going to have to look into more creative ways to work and partner with people. But yeah, for me, working in the pandemic has been good in a sense because it kind of fits what I want to do.
Okay.
Okay, good. Isaiah, what about you, man?
Well, first I want to talk about the pandemic, what it did to me. Then I will express, how it did as far as like my work relationships. Since this pandemic hit, we're going into year 3, and life for me has been made me an introvert, and I don't like it at all. I'm used to being outgoing, used to seeing people, used to, collaborating with colleagues or whatever. And I just do not like being, basically stuck. A lot of the people I have not seen in almost 3 years. This is year 3 going on. And I don't want to be crippled by the pandemic, but I do want to follow the science and trying to protect my well-being. And like Kim said, like the backside of it, you have seen so many different small businesses flourish, as well as a lot of people are really taking the entrepreneurial route because a lot of free time they can explore and do some of the things that they wanted to do and go and start these businesses. So I see the back end of that, but like Kim did say as well too, like when you just can walk into a restaurant and just to see that it's not that is a lack of availability for you to get in the restaurant, but it's not really a lot of workers there to even greet you as you come into the restaurant. So you see this and you see that in actually different stores, and this pandemic has really affected us whatsoever. And being that it is going into year 3, I don't want to think of this as the new normal, but I often question that when this is going to end, and if this is going to end whatsoever. So I think the best thing that we can do is just to stay afloat and just try to keep going with one day at a time.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I think that's all we can really do at this point. Stuff changes so much, and we just don't really know, how this thing's gonna unfold or when it will kind of end. So, it's a good point. Laria, what are your thoughts? Or how has pandemic impacted you personally, and also even if you've seen it, from another view or like outside view as far as things you've seen from a workforce perspective, the impacts of this new COVID lifestyle that we live in now.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of different because I started working from home in 2016.
Okay.
And the pandemic pushed me to have to go back to working in person. So now I'm like, I mean, I like the job, but I would rather work from home. And I've been working from home, and before that, I had been working in person. So I'm kind of like the different person. Most people were working in person and then going home, where I was at home already and started working in person. So it's been I would have never guessed that this would be my path. But what I will say about it is it's shown me about myself, resiliency, changing the plan. Things are going to be different. You're going to drown if you keep trying to fight what is happening. It's kind of like those waves are coming on you. Instead of you just let's just roll on with this and go with it and see, plans and things change, and nobody saw the pandemic coming. So I just put my sails up and said, you know what, we got a choice. We either gonna fight this thing all the way and say, nah, we gonna work this out and we gonna keep, or are we gonna adjust the sails and say, okay, let's roll with it. And so I think the people that have rolled with it have done well and and will continue to do well. But if you're trying to figure out how you just got to find your niche. And I think this is a time for more individualism. However your personality is, what feels good to you, it kind of brought us back to what we love to do. So if you don't like doing it now, like people are like quitting left and right. The great resignation is happening because everybody's understanding money is good, but if I'm waking up every day hating to go somewhere, it ain't working for me no more. So I think that we just have to put first things first, take care of yourself, and then, find out what you can do within this time frame, because we're not going back. It's not going back to that. This is the new normal. And I think the sooner and the faster we receive that, the better our lives will be. So that's my thing.
Yeah, that's good. I think you guys all have good points. Pandemic has definitely disrupted a lot of things that we have, grown accustomed to. So for me personally, I'm now working from home. Actually started a new job during the pandemic. So even trying to learn my new job and that transition was kind of interesting. I actually like it though, man. Your boy get to roll out the bed and log in. I ain't gotta put no clothes on. I ain't gotta drive. Saving all this gas money. But it has, I have moments where I feel like I'm in the house too much. I get cabin fever. So I have to kind of reset, make sure I go outside or, go to the gym or do something to kind of just stay engaged with nature or outdoors or something. But I think you guys all make good points. I think this has shed a light on some of the kind of inefficiencies that we have seen traditionally in the workforce. Laria, you made a good point. This great resignation, and I think people are realizing that you need to be happy with this job that you're doing, because like COVID has really shown us like tomorrow's not promised. People are dying. Losing family members. There's just so much going on, and so I think people are really understanding that to sacrifice your time for this job that you really hate going to, and that you may not even live to see, this future that you're trying to work towards. I think it's been kind of eye-opening for a lot of people, and so I think that's also have led to this, this great exodus, a great resignation as well, where people are really trying to find things that are better suited for them and their lifestyle and what they kind of really want. So different world, different times. I don't think we would ever go back to what it was. I think there are some advantages to a lot of the remote work. I think there are some things that could be capitalized on in those areas, and I think there's some negative aspects as well. You're not as engaged with people, like Isaiah mentioned. You don't get to socialize and interact, and we don't even know what the effects of that may be. So pros and cons on both sides, but like Laria mentioned, like you guys have talked about, we just got to figure it out and take it one day at a time. And
it's true.
And kind of keep pushing, So it ain't gonna stop because of us. So we got to make it work and find our way. So look, good talk, good discussion, and as always, we're not just about these books on Four Friends in the Book. We talk about relevant topics and current events that may even relate to those books. So again, this month, Deacon King Kong by Jane McBride, and also just how we've been impacted by work and COVID and all this whole stuff. So yeah, good discussion, guys. I always appreciate y'all input. What y'all got to say. I do want to hear from y'all.
We grew up with those kind of thoughts and sayings like, "Oh Lord, I don't want to take all of God's glory." Honey, who do you think you are? You can take God's glory. You haven't done anything. When was the last time you made a sun rise or a tide go in or out, or you set the stars in its place? So we can't take God's glory.
I was concerned you was going to preach us tonight. You preaching us. You preaching us.
The family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter what you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
One of the things God told me was, and to answer your question about what makes me different, he said, you are going to be authentic. Yes, other coaches will be able to help people, but you're going to be able to do that because of your authenticity of how you went through. And then secondly, what makes me different is I am a prayer warrior. I war for my clients. I intercede for my clients. I pray for my clients.
You've just answered the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of our questions right there.
So again, if you've been rocking with it for a while, you know, Four Friends in a Book, you know, we talk about books, talk about current events and topics, but we also talk about these things which we call the rants. So we have it each episode, uninterrupted, where we just speaking from the heart. Whatever's on your mind, we don't debate it, we don't contest it. It's a time period, just gotta go and speak. So coming back to my boy, Mr. Rant Man, y'all know who it is. Kill him every episode. We never know what we getting. So 60 seconds, uninterrupted, once again, from Mr. Rant Man himself, Isaiah Tukes. Brother, the floor is yours. Give it to him.
Well, President Biden pledged to nominate a Black woman to the Supreme Court to succeed Justice Stephen Breyer when he retires later this year. And some people have questioned whether Biden's pick will be valid. Biden's candidates are qualified women who deserve the chance and happen to be Black. They have years of experience and multiple degrees between them. And this has nothing to do with affirmative action and everything to do with having the right resume to do the job. And history has shown that out of 115 people, 108 of the justices in the court have been white men. And this says all that needs to be said about the Supreme Court. And before Thurgood Marshall, it was a given that every justice nominated to the Supreme Court was going to be a white male. The court should reflect the diversity of the United States of America. Diversity and inclusion are essential for the long-term success of our nation. And it is right of Biden to have this, to want to actually pick a Black nominee to actually represent the diversity in America. And as we reflect during Black History Month, the list of prestigious nominees are a prime example of becoming part of the system to destroy it. And that's that on that.
That's good.
That's good, brother. Yeah, I think you made a great point. It's not about affirmative action. It's about having representation and diversity of the courts to represent the people that of our country. And so I think that's a good point. We need representation, not only locally, but also at a federal level as well. And so I think that is a key point that has to take place because we're not all the same. And so we need representation across the board and people that looks like everyone to be in those positions. So good rant, brother. Good rant. So again, Four Friends in the Book podcast, books, current topics, and these rants every episode. And so we thank you guys for rocking with us, continuing to support us. and we got to tell you about what we got coming up next in our book for next month. So Isaiah, go on and give it to him, brother.
Hey guys, before we let you go, our next book we're going to discuss is Hill Harper's book called The Conversation. And in the conversation, he talks about, how to actually build long-lasting relationships between men and women. And you don't want to miss this next podcast. Laria, tell the viewers when they can join us.
You guys can join us every third Thursday of every month. We'll have new content. We also have author spotlights, so look for those, but every third Thursday of the month. So make sure that you go out, join us with this book, and I'll let Kim tell you the rest of it.
And follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram as 4 Friends in a Book. And make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube.
All right, guys. As always, we thank you for your support, for joining with us. And let's continue to read. Let's learn. Let's grow. Let's have a discussion here on 4 Friends in a Book. Thank you. Thank you.
I was one of those Baptist babies born on the pew who remember songs like, "So forget about yourself, concentrate on him and worship him." It's hard to give the best if you physically are falling apart. So as a pastor, how do you reconcile that kind of theology with a theology of self-care?
The best gift that I can be to my congregation is to model it. God is concerned about every aspect of who we are. God created our mind. God created our bodies. Why would God create a mind, a body, a spirit, a soul, and tell us not to take care of it?